In this video, we are going to implement transitive routing using network virtual appliance. Before getting into the demo, let's try to understand the architecture and the intention. See, when we have a multiple virtual network, as you see on the screen, we got a VNet Hub 1 virtual network, and then we got a 2-spoke virtual network, right? And these virtual networks, spoke virtual networks, are basically paired with the VNet Hub 1. But when VNet spoke 1 want to talk to the spoke 2 network, it is not possible because peering is not transitive. That means the workload sitting within one virtual network cannot talk to each other just by doing the peering with the hub. Okay. Essentially, we need something within the hub which can route the traffic for these spoke networks. It could be NVA or it could be firewall. In our case, what is that we're going to do? We're going to do something like this. We are going to place a NVA within the hub virtual network, and we're going to configure that NVA so that VM1, spoke 1 can talk to spoke 2 VM. All right. The CIDR range is 10.10.0/20 for the VNet Hub 1, and for these two spoke networks 20 and 30. Okay. That is what we're going to do. You see the Azure Bastion here. You can think of deploying, but I will try to ignore the Azure Bastion in this case. What is that I'm going to do when deploy the VM? We're going to assign the public IP. Our intention is basically this VM should be in a position to talk to them over the public, not public IP, private IP, right? But just for the login, I'm going to assign the public IP as well to this architecture, right? The one that I have placed is a secure one, so we're not going to invest the time basically putting the Azure Bastion in this particular case. So we will spin up the machine using public IPs. Okay, so let's get on the Azure portal. All right, I am on the Azure portal. What is the thing that I did? I only created the 3 virtual network, as seen in the architecture. And I added, these are the 4 subnet I added in the hub. And if you look at a spoke, we got 3 subnet in the spoke 1. And if you look at the spoke 2, we got only 1 in it, right? And what I did also, I also paired these 2 spoke network with the hub. That is the thing I did, nothing more than that. Now, what is that we're going to do? We are going to deploy 2 spoke VM and 1 NVA. Okay. Now, when I say a spoke VM and NVA means like we're going to deploy all 3 same machines, but their role, to some extent think that it's a different one. So let me go ahead and deploy those 3 virtual machines. I am going to show you what are the things that I'm selecting here, so that you know exactly what I'm talking about. This one has a NVA VM first, right? Let's not bother about anything here. We're going to select this particular image. We're going to select this one vCPU, and let's name this account as OS admin. Let's pass the password to this particular deployment. For this one, allowed port, that's fine. We would like to have that one. We don't want to do anything here, and we would like to place this particular VM in the hub, and which is the one we are interested to place that VM in the subnet NVA. We're going to put the IP address in this case. That's fine. And let's make sure that we're selecting this one so that when we delete, NIC card is also cleared up. Let's go ahead and review and create this one. We don't need to select anything else because we just want to implement the transitive routing, right? So this is how the NVA machine is, right? It's a 2019 Windows Server machine. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for the other two. I am going to select same RG group. I call this one Spoke 1 VM. Let's not bother about anything else there. Same thing. We just need to enter the username in this case, password in this case as well. Let's make sure that we re-entering that password. Okay, this is okay. We want that. Let's not bother about this networking. And we would like to place this particular VM in this particular subnet. Again, same thing here. Let's select this guy as well, and we're going to say review and create. All right, so validation pass. This machine is also being deployed at this stage. All right, okay. Let me go ahead and create the third one. We select the resource group. We call this machine as Spoke VM. Let's not bother about other thing here. Same image, same size, username. Let's enter the password for this machine as well. All right, so password is there. Public inbound port, we just going to keep as it is. Okay, networking, this is where we have to go ahead and select the another network. Subnet 2, we want public IP. Let's select this one, review and create. Right, so now you have seen that we deployed basically two Spoke VM and one NVA VM, right? Let's say create in, and let's make sure that this is getting deployed. All right, so let's make sure that we see the Spoke 1, and we also want to see Spoke 2 coming there as well. So I can see now all the three machines with public IPs, and you can see that it's Windows image and same size, right? Now what is that we're gonna do first? We are going to get on the NVA and download the RDP file, and let's log into the NVA first. Let me open this file. Coming on the another screen, so let me pull back. That's the machine, and what is that we're gonna do here? We going to log in to this particular machine, and make sure that we are in a position to ping the other two. In meanwhile, what is that we need to capture? We just need to make sure that we know this IP address. This is the IP address assigned to the NVA VM. We should also know the IP address of this one, that's 10.20.04, and let's make sure that we're noting down this IP address as well, which is 10.30.04, right? So we know now they are in a different. Let me pull out this. On the other side, this is our NVA machine, and here let's make sure that we do few things here on this particular machine. All right, so let me get on the local server here, and the first thing that we're gonna do is basically make sure that we don't have the active Defender firewall. It's just because of this will create a problem with the demos actually. So first thing that we're gonna do is make sure that this firewall is turned off. Let's go ahead and do this here, and I just want to make sure that we switching this off. All right, that's the first thing. And second thing is that let's make sure that this enhanced security as well, we shutting it off in this particular case. And if we now come here, we just want to make sure that we are in a position to get on the two Spoke VM from the hub. This is the NVA machine. Let's make sure that we are on the NVA. We can say host name, and from this particular machine we should be in a position to ping. That's the first one, which is 10.20.0.4, which is the spoke 1 VM. And you can see that we're not in a position to ping this machine, right? Let's ensure that for the other machine as well. That means this machine is not in a position, maybe it's not in a position to do the ping. So first thing that we need to do, we get on both the VM again, on this VM1, and let's make sure that we log into this VM as well using RDP. Open the file. Let me go ahead and connect to this machine as well. Thus the username for this particular machine I am getting on the machine now, and that also coming on the other side. So let me maximize this and let's make sure that we watching what this machine is doing. We see yes in this case, and we also get on the local server in this tab. Let's close this one. And here as well, what is that we're gonna do, we just want to make sure that we are switching off the firewall. So there are three things that we need to do here when we say we are switching off the firewall: public switch up, private switch up, and we do the domain as well. Okay, that is the thing we just need to do. Another thing we just do for this guy as well. All right, so let's minimize and let's get on the spoke VM2 also. Download, keep this, and let's open that file. Let me hit connect. Let me bring on this screen. We do the same thing here as well for this machine. Let's log in. Yes in this case, and also we close this, get on the local server here, and let's do the similar thing in this case as well. Switch off the Defender firewall. Click on the Defender firewall, and we just need to switch off the public one. We go back again here, we select the private one, we go back here, right, domain network, switch it off. And the similar thing we're gonna do here for the IENN security. Let's switch it up. Right now we have basically switch up the firewall for all the machines. Now let me get NVA VM and let's try to ping once again. The first one is 20, and now you can see that there is a response from 20, and let's see what is that we get from 30. Now it means our hub network is basically talking to you both the spoke network or peering, right? That is what we basically concluding in this case. And if we do the similar thing, let's get on the virtual machine first. Let me close this. Let me close this, and let's make sure that we get on the command prompt for this machine. Let me select the command prompt, and here if we let's make sure that which VM it is. Like this is a spoke 1, and we try to ping spoke 2 VM, which is 2030. Before that, let's see the IP config for this machine. All right, that's the IP config, and now we try to ping 10.30.0.4, which is spoke 2, and we're not in a position to do that from here. Let's try to do the same thing from the other VM as well. Let me pull out the VM. Let's say in this case, let's get on the command prompt, and in this case as well, I am going to say host name, and let's make sure that IP config and we try to ping 10.20.0.4 from here, and it's not working. And this is our intention basically for the whole exercise. We want these two machines talking to each other using the NVA, that's the idea. Now, what is the first thing that we need to do? Let's get on the NVA. All right, so I am on the NVA, and here we have to do few things. What are those things? First thing is that we have to add a role. Which is that role? We select manage, add roles and features. Let's go to the next role base. That's next. And this is what we need, which is called remote access. All right. You don't need to select anything. Let's go ahead and select this routing. Add feature. Next, 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 and select that if needed. Install. And let's wait for this installation to finish. You can see that the installation is finished. Let's close this one and we go to the tools. And now you can see this particular option here in the tools called routing and remote access. That is what we need to select. We come back here. We basically select this NVA, right click, say configure and enable. Then we select the custom configuration from this option and then select the LAN routing and just say finish. So this should enable the service on this particular NVA. All right, start the service. Service is being started now. And this particular NVA is ready now. Another thing we need to do is basically add a static route. Now, before adding a static route, we just need to make sure that we know the details of this particular NVA. If we config, let's make sure that default gateway is this for the NVA because this is the one using to route the traffic, and this is the IP address of this particular device, which is 10.10.1.4 and 1.1, right? So let's remember that. Let's come here, and what is that we need to do? We have to add a route. Which route? Spoke 1 and spoke 2 we need route. So let's add a spoke which is at 10.20.0 and 0, and the network mask is going to be 255.240 because this indicates /20 range. That is the size we allocated to the spoke virtual network, right? You can do the googling and calculate, saying that what is a network mask for /20 size, and you get this number. Okay, that is how I did actually. And then gateway, we just saw the gateway is this, not one. Okay, the one that we saw 10.10.1.1, that's the gateway. Let's make sure that we add that, and we have to add another static route which is 10.30.0.0, and network mask in this case is also going to be the same because that is also a size 20 network, and gateway in this case also 10.10 and going to be 1.1, and let's say okay. All right, so we did the configuration of the NVA. I think one most important thing also we have to do, let's go back to the portal. On the NVA, we have to get on the network setting, and we have to enable port forwarding on, not port forwarding, so that it can send the data to the other machines. Only then it can work as a router. By default, this is something is not enabled. We have to enable that. So let's click on that network interface, This is the setting, enable IP forwarding, not port forwarding, sorry. So that is how we have to do that. Now we have to do this one only on the NVA. We don't need to do on these VMs. All right. Now with this consideration, our setup for the NVA is complete. What we need to do now, we have to create few route tables. Let's go ahead and create the route tables, and we have to associate those route tables with the spoke networks. All right, so let's create the first route table. Let's place that in this network. It has to be in the same. Let's name this route table called subnet 1. Okay, review and create, and we just say create. Let this operation complete. Is completed, but still it's not popping up. It takes a little bit time. All right, let's go to the resource, and this is where we have to add a route. So this route has to be to the virtual network 2, right, which is spoke 2, right? And we can name this like something like that, UDR, so that we know that it's a UDR. Destination for the spoke 2 is 10.30.0 and 20, right? And next hop is now through the virtual appliance. And what is the IP address that we got for the virtual appliance? Is this, right? That is what I think we can go back and make sure that that is the IP address we got, right? 10.10.1.4, right? That's the NVA IP address. Now let's add this route UDR, and let's associate this particular route table with the subnet. Which is the subnet? That is the spoke 1 subnet going to the spoke 2 subnet, right? And this is the one that we are after, because that is where we deployed the spoke 1 VM. Let's do the similar thing once again for the other one. Let's create one more route table and place that in this one. It should be in the Australia East. Let's call this one for subnet 2, and we just say review and create. Let's go ahead and create this one as well. Go to the resource, route, add a route. What is the route in this particular case? We're saying that we want VNet spoke 1, and the CIDR range for this network is right. And let's make sure that it is hopping through the virtual appliance NVA that we deployed and enabled as a router. All right. Now we can also associate this particular route table with spoke 2 virtual network subnet, spoke 2 subnet. And once it is added, now almost all the setup is completed. Now we go back to our first virtual machine, and you remember spoke 1 VM was not in a position to talk to the spoke 2. So now we should get a response back in this case. All right, let's ensure that we see that reply. See, that can communicate now. Let's try to do the same thing here as well on this particular VM, that is our spoke 2 VM, and we should be in a position to go to the spoke 1 now. See, this is how the transitive routing works, So what we did in this particular video, we deployed one Windows VM, and we basically configured that Windows VM as a NVA, as a router. And then we were in a position basically to go from one spoke network to another through the hub. This is how it works. You can have the firewall as well, but I think when you feel that you need to do something through the NVA, then this is basically the process. That's all pretty video.